Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 213.
On Now You Know.
We're brought to you, as always, by our amazing Patreon patrons. If you want to join our awesome community, head over to patreon.com/nowyouknow to be a part of creating independent news every week.
And as you hunker down for the show, you might want to grab some snacks.
We're sponsored by the good folks at Lesser Evil.
They make healthy snacks with ingredients that are healthy, organic, and sustainable.
And they make them in their own factory.
Yeah, we went and visited it recently and interviewed their Tesla driving CEO.
So grab a bag of Lesser Evil organic popcorn, veggie sticks, or paleo puffs, and let's go.
So if you're looking for some new fall gear, head on over to ecoware.us, where you'll find new designs uploaded every week, and we carbon offset the manufacturer, shipping, and life cycle of your purchase, and we plant a tree for every order.
EcoWare starts positive conversations with carbon-negative products.
All right, so Tesla just released their Q3 production and delivery numbers on Friday, and it's pretty good. 145,000 produced and 139,300 delivered.
And a shout out to Hypercharts, as always, for their awesome charts. You can see here the 43% year-over-year increase. I mean, that's amazing. They did that in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, and they beat their previous delivery record by 24%.
Don't forget that Tesla hasn't produced any Model Ys in China, and Tesla is only production limited. So next quarter, we may see the first Model Ys being built and sold in China.
Now, Tesla hasn't broken out the numbers between the Model Y and the Model 3, but Gally and the gang over at Hypercharts have some really solid estimates. So we're probably looking at about 90,000 Model 3s and 34,000 Model Ys delivered this quarter. As you can see in green, that's the Model Y there. So yeah, if next quarter China starts producing them as well, that green bar is going to get a whole lot bigger.
Exactly, and that just leads to more sales for Tesla, which is more revenue, which is more profit because they're actually selling these cars at a profit.
So to put this in perspective, let's look at GM's Chevy Bolt sales in Q3.
So it's up 17% quarter over quarter, up to 5,682. Not bad. Not Tesla, but not bad.
But what's really cool here is that BEV cumulative sales in the US just reached 1 million. And most of those, of course,
are Teslas.
So there's a common story here that comes out pretty much every quarter when the numbers come out, where it's like, Tesla did pretty good, but there's still a weak demand.
Which, no, doesn't make any sense, first of all. They seem to do this thing where they say, it either met or didn't meet expectations. And the expectations that they're talking about weren't the numbers that Tesla provided. This is an amalgamation of all the analysts, and then you average them together, and then that is the expectation.
Right.
Which, I'm sorry, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that would be the expectation. And if you meet the expectation, it seems like that should be fine because that was what was expected. That's what an expectation is. But it's expected that you exceed the expectation? That's not what expectations are. I'm just flabbergasted by this logic.
And then the other part of the story is almost always that like, oh, well, the stock dipped. But if you look at this chart here, this is a 1-week chart. The stock went up in anticipation. For some reason, it came back down, but that's where it was at the beginning of the week.
Well, it's not like it's dipped very much. And let's just keep in mind for a second that a year ago, we were at 255.
Wow, so 255 up to 420. That's quite a rise.
Before the stock split. Before the stock split, it was at 255.
Oh, so now that's like it being at $50 a share.
$50 a share. Up to now, we're talking in the 400s,
right.
And now we're complaining, oh, it dropped about $10. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. I mean, it would be one thing if it fell to $25 a share. I would understand. You'd be like, wow, I guess they really missed the mark. They haven't. There's no story here. It's just FUD. It's just like, well, how can we tell the news story so that it's interesting and engaging and is going to hopefully lead to Tesla's demise? I know. We'll lie. They didn't exceed expectations. Did they come close or meet? They did meet expectations, but that's not good enough. What?
Yeah, and this is the kind of stuff we talk about on our investor club. We're going to be doing that on Saturday at 11 a.m. So join us over on Patreon at the $10 level, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of disruptive investing topics.
So the Made in China Model 3 has now dropped in price for Chinese buyers. The Standard Range Plus now goes for $249,900 one, which is $36,799.
Okay. What was it before?
It was about $40,000.
Wait, so that's $3,000 cheaper.
Yeah, and the Model 3 long range is now $45,634 if you do the conversion.
So wait, about $5,000 cheaper.
Exactly.
How did they do that?
So this is from them switching to lithium iron phosphate batteries. These are cheaper. They aren't as energy dense.
Oh, but they're not going to have as much range. That's how they did it.
Here's the weird thing. They seem to have gotten a range boost for the standard range plus up from about 445 kilometers or 276 miles of range to now 468 kilometers or 291 miles of range, which seems crazy, but keep in mind that they have to, in China, report these numbers according to the NED cycle, which is China's version of range estimates, which NEDC, of course, stands for not even darn close.
But still, it's a boost. So that means they actually are getting a better car for less money.
Yeah, and actually, it's going to be cheaper to buy the Standard Range Plus now than it is to buy it in the U.S., depending on state incentives.
Can I just point out that I don't know of any ICE car where, like, halfway through the year, they're like, hey, the same model year that we were selling earlier this year? Well, now it gets a better gas mileage.
Could you imagine the dealership commercials would be like, come on down, you wouldn't even believe it if we told you. You can't even imagine the price savings. Come on down to the Franco's dealership. You're going to be absolutely flabbergasted. You can't, this has never happened before in the history of cars.
I would love to see Elon do some ads like that. Wouldn't it be great?
It would be really funny.
All right, so in a new software update, 2020.40.1 has updated the traffic light and stop sign control feature to now drive through green lights. Can you explain?
Yeah, so Tesla's been very conservative with its autopilot traffic light software. Up until now, the car will stop at a stop sign or a red light, but it wouldn't go when the light turned green until the driver pressed the stalk or press the accelerator. And that hasn't changed yet. But in June, Tesla started enabling cars to drive through green lights if there was a lead car in front of it that was also going through the green light. Now with this new .40 update, it sounds like Teslas won't need the lead car to drive through the green light on autopilot.
Sounds like?
Well, it sounds like this update will only work at simple intersections.
Yeah, the update says, as you approach a green traffic light, in some situations where there is a straight path through the intersection, the traffic light and stop sign control feature may no longer require explicit driver confirmation. If this occurs, the stop line in the driving visualization will turn green to indicate that the car will continue through an intersection. Confirmation is still required if your car is already stopped in a light when it turns green. Note, this feature will not turn or attempt to turn through intersections, although over time, as we continue to learn from the fleet, we expect that it will control more naturally.
Now, don't forget that we're still waiting for this full self-driving quantum leap that should be coming out in December. And I want to talk about that for just a quick second. I think that when they finally release this new software, it's either going to be a true quantum leap, light years ahead of what they're able to do now, or it's going to be a slight step back in terms of either features or reliability.
Step back?
For a short period of time. Kind of like what happened when they switched from Mobileye to their own autopilot software. There was kind of a big delay for a while where the autopilot that Tesla made wasn't as good as Mobileye for a while, and then it slowly became superior and more superior.
But this would be Tesla's own update to its own software.
I just want to have people kind of prepared to imagine that this might occur.
So who has the new charge port heaters that seem to be released in the new 2020.40 over-the-air update?
Tesla says your car can now use the charge port inlet heater to help defrost the inside of the charge port. The charge port inlet heater can be activated in cold ambient temperatures by enabling preconditioning using the mobile app, activating the rear defrost button on the vehicle's touchscreen, or preconditioning the vehicle using scheduled departure. So it's not clear when this inlet heater was installed. So one day at the factory, they're like, oh, time to install the heaters. And they started doing that. And all the cars that came before that don't have those heaters. So There are some Model 3s out there, maybe mine included, that don't have an inlet heater, and then there are some that do. I've lived through 3 winters with my Model 3 so far.
Yep.
And I haven't had too much trouble. There were a couple freezing rain days, but the charge port cover on my car prevented a lot of ice buildup, and I was able to get the charge port in and out.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to just push it to break the ice or whatever, but this is a nice feature. I'm sure that people who have it will be glad to have it, but it's not a necessity.
Right, and you also got to keep in mind, it was hard to open gas caps when you were driving a gas car too, it wasn't this magic thing where it was just like, of course, my gas car always worked in the cold. Ho, ho, ho!
And speaking of new features coming, Tesla owners Silicon Valley tweeted out, "Can we get Birdseye view?" And Elon said,
Vector space Birdseye view coming with full self-driving.
So first of all, what are we talking about here with Birdseye view?
So there's this feature that's been around for actually quite a while. Some car companies have been adopting it in their cars. It's essentially when you're parking, you can put it in this mode where on a screen somewhere, it'll show you like you looking on top of your car.
How did they do that? Is there like satellite technology?
Nope. It's just 4 cameras usually around the car that they just kind of like take the footage and just fold it down. So it looks pretty wonky generally, but it's super helpful when you're parking because you can see like, oh, I have some room. I think that it would be a great feature for Tesla to add. They definitely have all the cameras that they need for it. They might not be in the perfect places, but I think that they could implement it.
So this sounds like it's coming for possibly the December release of full self-driving. Might be a little Christmas present for everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense because this new version of full self-driving or autopilot, whatever you want to call it, has a 3D spliced image of what's going on around your car. So that's pretty easy because you just cut it as a hemisphere and then fold it flat and put it on your screen.
Oh yeah, that sounds easy.
Super easy. It's like you take an orange peel. No, here it is. You take an orange, cut it in half, take the peel off, smush it flat, which is impossible for orange peels to do, but of course with graphics you can do that, and then you have a top-down view of your car.
That's cool. So we reported on this new nonprofit foundation, the Well Done Foundation, a few weeks ago. They are safely capping abandoned oil and gas wells, and we are so lucky that one of our new Now You Know reporters, Brian, was able and willing to travel to the site in Montana for the latest well being decommissioned to bring us all this story.
Good morning, Zach and Jesse. This is Brian Reeby reporting from northern Montana, where I've been spending the week with the Well Done Foundation. They adopt and cap orphaned oil wells. Many of these orphaned oil wells were drilled as early as the 1920s, and then through death or bankruptcy of small mining operators, they were just left, sometimes wide open, venting methane and other gases into the atmosphere. When Well Done's founder Curtis Shuck learned about this problem and the scope of it, he put his business experience together with his rapport with local landowners and partners to make sure that these wells get monitored and sealed properly.
My name is Curtis Shuck, and I'm the chairman of the Well Done Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit formed specifically for education and action for the orphaned oil well problem in the United States and Canada. We have captured and eliminated more than 150,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, CO2e, based on the calculations of the American Carbon Registry. And we've got a lot more to do. We've only got about 3.2 million left now in our project. Across the U.S. But what an exciting time. And yesterday we came to the well, we opened up the testing port and immediately stuck the 4-gas tester in to verify the presence of gas. And then the next step then is to verify flow. We're pulling data samples as often as every 30 seconds. So we develop a cumulative running average for that particular well. From there, then we prioritize that list. Say, okay, we've got 10 of these wells are super emitters. And those are the ones that we want to focus on first. And essentially what we're able to do here today was open the well bore up and run what we call the workover string of pipe into the well. This particular well had a depth of 1,500 feet. We mixed up a hot batch of oil field cement, then install that cement into the oil-bearing formation, up about 200 feet into the casing pipe. To finish up the day, then we removed all of the pipe out of the cement, and then tomorrow morning we'll run that pipe back in, do what's called tag the bottom, to just make sure that we physically can tell that plug is where it's supposed to be. And we'll start setting the rest of our balance plug, which is a gel spacer and then a cement top surface plug.
Part of the mission is giving back to the local economies by hiring local crews and getting community buy-in. In Shelby, they've opened a visitor center for education about the project, but it's also a place to honor the town's history with oil, understanding the local pride with a positive goal of a cleaner future.
And we wanted a visitor center or an educational type center where we can bring people in, show them what's going on, give them a little background on why this is so important.
I don't think a lot of people in Shelby knew that this was going on and a potential problem environmentally. So, happy to have learned about it, and then that Curtis is doing something about it, bringing jobs to the Highline area and outsourcing things with other companies to help steal those wells.
The Well Done project is brought, helped us maintain jobs here, in the downturn.
We're just pleased to be partners as a downstream resource where the scrap metal can be recovered and handled and properly recycled. And then we're also pleased to be able to donate a certain amount each ton that goes back to monitoring and capping those wells.
We're working with him through the American Carbon Registry to develop a methodology so that Well Done can generate offset credits and monetize the environmental good that they're doing above and beyond, and sustain and scale their program.
Our adoption programs range from $25,000 to $30,000, and it's really well specific. It depends on what the circumstances of the well are. We do our work so that when we match a donor, we can quickly deploy.
I look forward to see what happens moving forward. It's good to have them here in town, and leaves things better for the future. So,
Even as an observer, it's incredibly satisfying to see these wells capped and the emissions go down to zero. I hope this is the start of many more to come, and that in the future these orphaned wells won't just be identified, they'll be capped and well done. This has been Brian Reby reporting for Tesla Time News.
Now you know.
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 And now you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you.
double
much,
wow.
I mean, that's like a story from Chronicle or
He
something.
drove hundreds of miles out of his way to go cover this story. Thank you so much, Brian. That was fantastic.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Leave some love in the comment section down below
Definitely.
for Brian for doing that, because otherwise this story wouldn't even get out to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, you may recognize Brian because he's done a lot of awesome supercharger reviews, and he has an awesome YouTube channel. So go check that out. We'll put the link in the show notes below. And the other thing is we're going to be working with the Well Done Foundation with EcoWare, because you know how we plant a tree for every tea. We also want to help cap a well as well. So we're going to be working on that soon.
Buy a cap a well.
Oh, I like that.
So Walmart Canada is now reserving a total of 130 Tesla semi-trucks. Walmart says this.
Tripling our reservation of Tesla semi-trucks is part of our ongoing effort to innovate the business and prioritize sustainability. By converting 20% of our fleet to electric vehicles by the end of 2022 and committing to alternative power for all fleet vehicles by 2028, we are putting safety, innovation, and sustainability at the forefront of our logistics network. The ability to travel 500 miles per charge is in line with Walmart Canada's general fleet system, which consists mainly of single-day round trips, allowing for the ability to convert from diesel at a faster pace. The enhanced driver safety features also offer a significant opportunity for the company to continue to address this critical issue.
It's not very often that you get to read an entire statement from Walmart and not burst out laughing or gag. I think the important takeaways here are that the 500-mile range is really what's doing it for Walmart. There isn't that much competition out there for that range truck, unless you think Nicola's going to be able to pull something out of somewhere.
All right, let's go to this tweet that came in from the Pope of Muscanity. Gaming internet?
And Elon said, yes, Starlink is designed to enable competitive gaming.
And then Toby Lee said, when will the public beta begin?
Elon said, very soon for higher latitudes like Seattle.
William asked, any thoughts on when the Brownsville-San Benito area can start using Starlink? I have satellite internet with my mom as a teacher and my brother, and I'm a student in class every day. It's very slow. Plus, the gaming aspect, too, is something we look forward to.
Elon said Brownsville is quite far south, so probably 3 months or so for good connectivity. Needs several more Starlink launches. I'm using it at the little house I rent in the area. Definitely not good there yet. Now, I just... like, like when they were putting in the fiber network and they're like, fiber, it's super fast and it's not available in your area. And you're like, oh, when will it be available in my area? And they're like, we don't know. I think this is awesome that they're doing something that in some respects is much, much harder. And he's saying just 3 months away. But, everyone's talking about this gaming internet stuff. Most people have plenty good internet for gaming. Why aren't we using Starlink for more important things? Remote areas and emergency stuff.
Well, actually, back in August, the Washington State military started using Starlink in areas devastated by wildfires. Richard Hall, the emergency telecommunications leader of the Washington State military's Department IT division, said, "I have never set up any tactical satellite equipment that has been as quick to set up and anywhere near as reliable." Hall's division has used other satellite broadband services, but he said there's really no comparison between Starlink and traditional satellites, which are farther away from the Earth in geosynchronous or medium Earth orbits. Starlink easily doubles the bandwidth, noting that he's seen more than 150% decreases in latency. I've seen lower than 30 millisecond latency consistently.
I mean, that is a serious game changer, and it kind of flies in the face of the most obvious solution to satellite-based internet. Because again, yeah, a geosynchronous satellite's nice because you're really far away from the Earth. You don't have to put up as many satellites because you can see everything. You got plenty easy lines of communication to all the satellites around the Earth. But you suffer when it comes to latency because you're going to be so far away from the Earth.
But I mean, radio waves, don't they travel like at the speed of light?
They do, but distance is important. Pranay was impressed. He said the initial Starlink speeds are really impressive. The sub 20 millisecond latency is just an icing on the cake.
And Elon said average latency will improve as more satellites launch directly above you more frequently and more ground stations are deployed. As we're able to put more ground stations on roofs of server centers, legacy internet latency will be zero. What?
So I don't understand what he means by legacy internet latency. Does he mean that your local crappy internet service provider is going to be able to benefit from Starlink?
I don't know.
I mean, Starlink could sell themselves as a service to internet service providers to kind of buff up your, weak connections to different nodes, I suppose. But is that what he's talking about?
Well, then the Pope of Muscanity tweeted this out. Tell us your plans for the internet link between the Earth constellation and the future Mars constellation. I know that you've thought about this. You can't hide those thoughts from me.
And Elon said high-frequency lasers are the way to go for sure.
Are we talking about using Starlink to communicate between Earth and Mars?
Yeah, I mean, you got to communicate somehow. The only problem is the latency's going to get pretty bad. We're talking...
Like 40 milliseconds or 50 milliseconds?
No, more like in the 180,000 milliseconds to the 1.3 million milliseconds range.
Can you put that into normal?
Yeah, so like 3 to 22 minutes... depending on where we are in relation to Mars.
That's not that bad, though, if you think about it.
Well, it's bad for a Zoom call.
Okay.
Hi, Dave. Dave, are you there? Hey, Dave. Dave, are you there? Have you tried working on your audio? Yeah, I don't know. Is the internet bad today?
Oh, hi, guys. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Dave. Hi, how
are you
doing?
there?
What? Yeah, we're here. Hi, Dave.
Are you there?
No, yeah, we're there. Hi.
Hello?
How are you doing, Dave?
Can you hear me?
What?
Hello? Is this
Hello?
on?
Can you hear
Hello?
me? Can you hear me?
Hello? So this was an exciting tweet. Tesla Club India said, "Hey Elon, just thought we'd put this out there. We wait and hang on to the hope with regards to hopefully soon for India Tesla entry. Would love to hear of any progress in this regard."
And Elon said, next year for sure.
And then Amog said, "Oh my God, Elon, this is celebrating news we were waiting for ages."
And Elon said, thanks for waiting.
So this is big news. I mean, he's said coming soon a bunch of times.
For a long time. We're talking years.
I don't recall him ever being so specific.
Let's kind of break down what this actually means. I think that this means maybe one supercharger, maybe one store in a year-ish.
Right. I mean, it could be as little as that.
Right. And maybe not even a supercharger. But if they start building out the supercharger network,
that's going to tell us a lot.
That's going to tell us a lot. They might be able to build it out so you could get to China, to get to Europe. I don't know. I mean, that would be really, really impressive to be able to take the entire Eurasian subcontinent and get a line going across the whole thing. That'd be so cool.
And on the big side of this, I mean, conjecture time.
Conjecture time.
We talked about this. It's possible that, let's say in 2024, that they could be building a gigafactory or a terafactory in India. Tesla Time News is sponsored by Cybertruck Owners Club. There you'll find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update and find your place in line.
Check out their website for Cybertruck news, discussions, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners. And a 3D configurator allowing you to visualize the Cybertruck in any color, wrap, and logo, both on screen and in augmented reality.
So Minnesota-based power sports outfit Polaris is teaming up with Zero Motorcycles to co-develop electric vehicles.
Zero has been known as the Tesla of motorcycles, as their battery, controller, and motor have been known to be a powerhouse.
Just ask our very own Steven and Uncle Rich of Rich Rebuilds YouTube channel, as they built a 1930 Ford Model A rat rod and the recent 102 mile per hour hauling Tesla Cyberquad, both using Zero's powertrain.
Polaris, on the other hand, is America's juggernaut in recreational vehicles, including ATVs, snowmobiles, golf carts, boats, and Indian motorcycles as well.
The two companies have signed an exclusive 10-year agreement, which Polaris said will help kick off an effort to have an electric version of every vehicle type the company offers by 2025. This is some big news.
This is huge news. I mean, we've talked to X-Row who work with Zero. Now, I guess they're all going to be working together to make some electric recreational vehicles. I think that this is going to be transformative. I think that the prices of a lot of these recreational vehicles are going to be fairly low. The maintenance is going to be the real kicker, because a lot of these things require a lot more maintenance, especially per mile, than most cars. And this, I think, is going to start to convince some people to say, hey, I bought an ATV that's electric because it kind of seemed to work out. Maybe I'll get a car that's electric too.
Yeah. So last week, we reported on California Governor Newsom's executive order that will ban gas and diesel passenger vehicles by 2035.
It appears we also missed a section of the order that also banned all fossil fuel-powered off-road vehicles, meaning dirt bikes, side-by-sides, and ATVs. Now, I think that this might be why Polaris signed that deal with Zero.
But they both happened at the same time.
Yeah, and you might say, well, how could a Polaris have ever foreseen this happening? I think that if you're in politics, you kind of know that stuff is happening, especially in your little corner of the world if you're Polaris, and you might hear, oh, hey, I heard the governor is going to be banning fossil fuel-powered cars, and you're going to go, crap, we need to get ahead of this. So quickly, let's try and line something up, probably weeks or months in advance, and they're probably talking to Zero, trying to ink a deal. They ink a deal roughly at the same time that this executive order gets placed. It makes Polaris look very good that they are pretty much not going to be affected by this too much because they'll still be able to compete in that state. Overall, I think it was a great play by Polaris. It was a great play by Zero. I think it's a really good partnership moving forward, and this is just another reason why.
And it shows that government policy tends to lead the private sector into action.
Exactly, and that's why it's important to get your lawmakers to understand what is at stake here, why we're doing this, because it actually will make a difference.
So this next story is a bit awkward for BMW and Mercedes.
Why is that?
Well, because Tesla just bought ATW Assembly and Test Company located in Neuwied, Germany. It's a 210-employee company that had been having a tough time staying afloat through the shutdown.
So it's awkward because it's a German company?
Well, not exactly. You see, ATW specializes in building assembly lines for batteries.
Well, that's great. I'll bet ATW will be able to help Tesla pump out batteries even faster. I still don't see why this is awkward for BMW and Mercedes.
Well, you see, ATW builds these battery and transmission assembly lines for BMW and Mercedes, and now ATW will be owned by Tesla. Hi, Franz. Good to see you. Can I join you at your table for lunch?
I'm sorry, the seat is reserved for my friends. You know, people that don't work for Elon.
So ATW is located about an hour away from Grohmann Automation, which Tesla also owns.
So this is actually a good news story because from the reports we've been reading about, it sounds like these employees were about to be laid off because of the lack of work.
Yeah, now I think they'll be pretty busy designing battery lines for Giga Berlin.
But now I want to get back to BMW and Mercedes for a bit. I think that ATW is going to be canceling all their contracts with them.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's usually like a legacy maintenance contract where you have to go back in to fix things because you're the ones who know how to fix it. So, I mean, over the next few months, as you're going back in to like fix a pulley or whatever, it's just going to be kind of awkward.
Maybe. But I mean, you got to keep in mind that when Tesla acquired Grohmann, they had Grohmann cancel all their contracts with basically everyone that they were working with.
Yeah.
So it could be even worse than awkward for BMW and Mercedes because they might be SOL for a lot of this.
Yeah, and this just shows you that Tesla's going to be able to cherry pick little companies and outfits as the economies change, as these big auto manufacturers don't need these people anymore. And then Elon basically sees an opportunity. He sees smart engineers that are going to do exactly what he needs, battery manufacturing lines.
Exactly.
So Honda announced last week that it will be withdrawing from Formula One as an engine supplier so that they can focus on research and development of hydrogen fuel cells and battery electric vehicles.
Honda will stop at the end of the 2021 season, and they want to reach their realization of carbon neutrality by 2050.
2050, like, again, we talked about this. That number is ridiculous. It's 30 years from now.
Right. I'm going to be retiring at that age.
Yeah.
Like, it would be one thing if they're like, we want to build a castle. Like, okay, that's how long it takes to build a castle.
By hand.
That would be an acceptable thing. But to be like, we want to be carbon neutral by, I don't know, 2050? What sounds good? 2050, that's got a ring to it. 2049? Nah. 2050. I think that's lame.
Yeah, Honda has spent $1 billion so far on engine development for Formula One.
$1 billion for a bunch of race cars?
I know, isn't that, silly? Because there are only 4 engine suppliers right now for Formula One. Honda, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Renault. And those are only supplying 10 teams and 20 cars.
So what is the point of spending $1 billion just for the Formula One engines?
I think it's that old adage, you race on Sunday and sell your cars on Monday. Like, the idea is that, people see the race and they're like, I want a car with that engine. But tell me this, who's going to their dealership on Monday with like, I want a Honda Accord because I just watched Formula One.
Hi, can I get a Formula One car, please? No, but hey, you know what's similar? A Civic. Yeah, I'm glad that they're stopping this thing, but hydrogen? They really think that that's what they should be focused on?
Well, and the other question here is for Formula One, with only 3 engine suppliers left, can they continue?
Yeah, we all knew that we were scraping the last bits out of the bottom of the barrel for engine development. There's only so much energy you can extract from exploding atomized fuel in air. There's only so much you can do, and they've been incorporating more and more electrical components into their thing, and I don't just mean wires, I mean actual batteries and electric motors into Formula One. So, yeah, the question is, how much more could you do to these cars, especially the engines, to get anything better out of them?
Yeah, the question here is it too little too late?
Yeah, I think that Formula One is going to be going the way of the cuckoo's nest pretty soon. Formula E, a lot of people are like, but it's nowhere near as good as Formula E. And that's by design. Formula E was kind of set up to be like definitely worse than Formula One. But if you're into that kind of thing, here's something to get you off our plate. Shut up. Watch Formula E, sucker. It never was going to compete with Formula One, which is a bummer because Formula E should be better than it is. And I just want to get to this other point. Honda makes engines to go in these race cars. Tesla makes race cars that you can buy. Literally, we bought a car from Tesla, put some new tires and brakes on it, and raced it up Pikes Peak.
And won.
And won. That should tell you something. You can just go buy a race car now.
Yeah. All right, so don't get too excited, folks. This is just another concept car, but it is all electric. This is the Buick Electra.
Oh, that's a cool name. Neat. I like how they're coming up with new names for these Buicks and stuff.
That's not a new name. Buick started using this name in 1959. Here's the 1959 Buick Electra.
And it's electric?
No, that was a gas-powered car.
But they called it the Electra?
Yes.
Because there was no electric cars for the
Right, there was going to be no confusion.
Okay, well, that looks pretty cool.
And then going into the 70s, it looked like this.
Okay, well, it's a very 70s looking car, yeah.
And then in the 80s, it looked like this.
Ooh. Okay.
And then in the 90s, it looked like this.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yikes.
So it's back. So here's the concept. It was unveiled last week in Shanghai.
That looks a lot better.
In a partnership with SAIC. And it has a range of over 400 miles using GM's new Ultium battery. And it has dual motor, 435 kilowatts of output for 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.3 seconds. Again,
not bad.
This is a concept, so there's absolutely no timeline on when they're going to produce this.
Okay, well, that's good that there's no timeline because I'm worried about when they come out with the car and we're like, wow, it's such a beautiful car. And then they mess it up like they did the old ones.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. Gross.
Nobody wants to see that. It's just hilarious to me that they decided in the 90s that, what would make the Electra look even better?
Wood!
Yes!
But not real wood.
No.
Fake wood.
Yes, that's it.
Fake wood. It's
going
to be painted on there.
That's great. That's why you're the VP.
So we've been seeing this video all over the internet. Everyone from Jalopnik to any car magazine that is like, you want to drive a car? Any one of those magazines is touting this as like, look at Tesla fail!
I didn't even want to include this as a story, to be honest. But because it's all over the internet, I thought we should break it down.
So this is something in China. We don't know any details about it, and yet everyone all over the internet is like, look at this Tesla, so stupid. Hold on. First of all, we don't know if it was in autopilot.
Right.
In fact, it probably wasn't because there were no lines for it to be driving on. So it probably wasn't in autopilot.
Yep. Probably not automatic emergency braking either.
You can shut that off.
Right.
So it was probably being driven by a human sitting behind the wheel, and they were supposed to test the braking. The automatic emergency braking
we don't even know if
doesn't work like this.
But can I just say, we don't even know if they were testing anything. This might have just been a stunt, or it might have just been stupidity. We have no idea. This wasn't like a research institute or an insurance company that tested this. This was just some people in a parking lot.
Right. But it doesn't matter because we get to this, 5-second soundbite little video clip and crappy article of like, check out this thing that I did absolutely no research on. This, I'm going to therefore extrapolate it to all cars that Tesla's ever made. It's crappy crap. I don't like it.
I don't either. I also don't like that we're not using our just common sense here. I've driven Teslas and they don't act like this. If you have automatic emergency braking on, it always either alerts the driver or engages the brakes.
Well, and when you get the car, you can set it to early.
Yeah.
But I think it comes on standard, and you can also set it to late. Right. So it'll give you a warning, and if you ignore the warning, it's a loud beep. So it's supposed to get you to slam on the brakes because you probably weren't paying attention. Some guy in front of you braked really hard, and so you're supposed to go like, oh crap, and grab the wheel. But if you know that you're going to hit something, you're not going to do that. You're not going to react like, oh crap. You're going to go like, it beeped. Let's see what it does. And then you're going to hit the thing. That doesn't prove anything.
I like your point about the fact that there's no lines here, so there's probably no way for this car to have been in autopilot. Right. We all know that, first of all, driving at slow speeds with no lines means that the car just won't engage autopilot. Right. So it probably wasn't in autopilot. It was probably just a guy driving, and he hit the dummy.
And we don't know if the warning went off or not. Like, there was this isn't a test.
Right. All right, so check this out. We just reviewed the TurboAnt X7 Pro e-scooter. Ethan is driving it around here for our Now Let's Review channel. So the cool thing here is that we've got a $200 off promo going until October 9th. So if you want to get an X7 Pro for under $500, go check out our link here so you can use that to get yourself a e-mobility device that's really affordable. All right, it's time for Going Green. So the U.S. National Park Service just updated their regulations to allow e-bikes up to 750 watts in all national parks where bicycles are already permitted.
So this is great, and also park superintendents will have some discretion to manage particular classes of e-bikes differently. I think this is really smart because all of these different parks have different types of trails and different types of wildlife.
So on October 1st, Volvo began production of its XC40 T8 Recharge electric SUV, the first fully electric vehicle from the Swedish brand.
But what about Polestar?
Yeah, this is confusing. Polestar is a subsidiary of Volvo, and it's already launched its first all-electric Polestar 2. So the confusing part is that Geely, which is a Chinese company, owns Polestar, and they own Volvo.
I see. And so Volvo has finally come out with their first battery electric vehicle.
That's why they're in the Going Green section.
I see.
So here are the stats. 75 kilowatt hour battery pack for a range of 200 plus miles WLTP.
Ooh.
I was expecting more. Maybe it will be more.
Well,
I don't know.
200 plus, we don't know what that means. Could be 230, could be, but WLTP definitely means that you're going to take that number and take about 20% off.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they're being conservative. I hope they are. Dual motor, 300 kilowatt powertrain, so 150 kilowatt electric motor on each axle, 11 kilowatts of onboard charging AC, and 150 kilowatt DC fast charging capability.
Not bad.
0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds.
Great.
Top speed of 112 miles an hour.
Great.
And Volvo has begun production of the XC40 Recharge in Ghent, Belgium, and it should be starting at $50,000 in the US before the $7,500 federal tax credit when deliveries begin in January. So all the cars produced this year are already sold, according to Volvo, with no word on how many that actually is. Huh. And so I just want to put out there, this could be one of the first real competitors to the Tesla Model Y.
Yeah, there are a couple things that give me pause, such as them being sold out and not telling us how many there were, and also that 200-plus mile range with the WLTP standard. Yeah, it could be up to 299 miles, I suppose, and then that would come down to 270, and I'd be pretty happy with that. But again, we just don't know.
Yeah, I want to try and get in one of these so we can really test it out. All right, it's time for Into the Future. So air pollution. It may be tiny and hard to see with the naked eye, but it's a big problem.
Air pollution is responsible for 7 million premature deaths every year worldwide, according to the World Health Organization.
It's the single biggest environmental health risk.
Now, researchers at Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden are working with Gothenburg-based Insplorion to make this, a tiny air pollution sensor that can sense low concentrations of nitrogen dioxide very precisely down to the parts per billion level.
The measuring technique is a technology they've been working on for over a decade, built upon an optical phenomenon which is called a plasmon. It arises when metal nanoparticles are illuminated and absorb light of certain wavelengths, and it can be used on other pollution gases as well. So right now they've started testing it on street lamps in Gothenburg and the roof of a shopping mall. But if this scales, we could hopefully use them everywhere, including in our smartphones and for indoor air quality.
So, I mean, yeah, this would be really great because right now when you go on whatever website to try and find like what is the air quality today, and usually it's in the summer when things are very hot, that is typically when air quality is the worst. It just gives you a number.
Right.
That is going to help local boards of health even go and crack down on that and say, hey, you are causing poor air quality, you need to fix this, and we have the data for it.
Time for sunspots. So Tesla has slightly reduced solar roof prices as they streamline production, and demand goes through the roof, literally.
For the solar roof, the quote for a 3,900 square foot roof with a 12.3 kilowatt solar roof tile system used to be $57,272 before incentives in July. And now Tesla's website is quoting the same system for $54,966 before incentives.
That's a savings of $2,300. Tesla is also showing a very favorable price comparison of the solar roof on its website, but it's important to note that it's comparing the solar roof tiles to some of the most premium roofing products on the market versus the more common composition asphalt roofing material.
But I think that that's fair because you would be purchasing a nice roof, and the solar roof is going to be a very nice roof as well. Nice not just in looks, but also in how long it'll last.
It's just nice that they're comparing apples to apples.
Last week, Tesla showed an increase of $500 in the price of the Powerwall on its website.
Wait a minute. I thought that last week we reported on a price decrease.
Yes, but that was for the much bigger Power Pack that dropped in price. This is the 13.5 kilowatt hour Powerwall for homes. There's been such demand that Tesla has been able to raise the price. It now costs $7,000 before incentives or installation. It's important to note that Tesla usually installs more than one Powerwall for most projects, and the price per Powerwall goes down as the price of the gateway and installation is spread across several battery packs.
So if you'd like to get $100 off your solar system and support the show, you can use our Tesla referral code, which is right here on the screen. We'll put it down in the show notes. That gets you $100 off, and it helps support us here on Now You Know. All right, it's time for video contributor stories.
And Ken shows off his garage charging solution.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. My name is Ken from Gilbert, Arizona, and I wanted to show you the overhead cable mechanism that I designed to keep the cables off the floor. So we designed this so that if the car was pulled in, we could unplug it or plug it in, whatever. But if we backed it in, the cable mechanism would follow us around and we could plug it in here too. In this case, I set up a system where you could put it against the wall too. Same thing with the Model Y. It's backed in now, but if I pulled the Model Y in forward, I could just swing it around like this and plug it in over here, no problem. In this case, we're just going to put it away. But I wanted to show you the star of the show, the Tesla Model Y. And we found out that a 48 cooler will not fit in either frunk, but it fits there perfectly, which we're super happy about. Tons of space in the back. It's really cavernous. I put an 8-foot 2x4 and a couple of 10-foot 2x4s in there the other day, and it worked out just great. So we're super happy with the car. It's a dual motor, long range, and really pretty too. We just love it, and it handles like no car I've ever driven. It's amazing. Still love the Model S. And those are the inverters to our 11.4 kilowatt solar system. So when people tell us we have a long extension cord to the power plant, we let them know we charge our cars on solar. Because you can't rely on dead dinosaurs forever. Now you know.
I love that. You can't rely on dead dinosaurs forever.
Right. It's funny that you relied on them at all.
All right, it's time for the Patreon bonus stories. Now, if you're wondering what we're talking about, because maybe you're one of our new viewers and welcome aboard, if you head on over to patreon.com/nowyouknow, you can support us for as little as $1 a month, and you get to see all of our Patreon bonus stories, which is like another news show just for you. Hey everybody, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories. It's time for our Patreon shout-outs. Who do we got this week, Jess?
We got Chikai Mumba Luk Musuro,
Jacob H. Laverdiere,
Paula and Tom, Pepper Realty, Arizona,
Edgel Utseth,
Ross Ward,
219signs.com,
EJ Messiah,
Flowmaster,
Derek Fries,
BJJ,
Cody CB,
Jim Medville,
Michael Hoggard,
and Lucas Mazziero.
Thank you so much for supporting this channel. We can't do it without you.
All right, it's time for Elon's tweets of the week. So Elon retweeted, news, we're now targeting 2:40 a.m. Eastern, Saturday, October 31st, for the launch of the NASA SpaceX Crew 1 mission to send astronauts to the space station.
So it'll be a very spooky launch.
Do you think the astronauts are going to dress up as astronauts?
Wow, that's perfect. Great. Oh, they can trick or treat at the International Space Station.
Elon tweeted this. Once the Dragon docks to the space station, there will be 2 Dragons docked simultaneously. Between crew and cargo missions, there will be at least 1 Dragon spacecraft attached to the space station for the entirety of 2021.
And then this has got to be the coolest thing ever, and I'm insanely jealous of this kid.
What?
Yeah.
Cybertruck Transformer.
Look, I had some pretty cool Halloween costumes
Not
as
as
a
cool
kid.
as that.
I mean, I remember the year you got the cardboard box, you put the tin foil on it, you cut a keyboard in half, so I had some buttons. I was a big robot. I had the ducting on my arms. I was a cool robot.
Depends on your definition of cool.
I was a tarantula one year. I got legs. That was also cool, but that
takes the cake.
Really jealous.
Pope of Muscanity said, if I got this right, as you are currently production constrained for your new battery architecture and will be for a while, you will keep using the 2170s for years to come, so there is no danger for your suppliers. Is that correct, Muscadidib? The electrons must flow.
Elon said yes. So 2170s for a while. Yeah, again, battery day, people are going like, oh, I think I'm going to wait. And it's like, you're going to be waiting a while, dude.
And then Pranay tweeted, when your shower turns you into a safecracker. And Elon said,
haha, true. Why do showers have such a wide range? And it's a good question, and it all comes down to price. It's all we made a valve. Don't worry, you can mix the water.
I think
it's like
Tesla should make shower valves.
Yeah. I mean, they shouldn't. Someone else should do that. Again, this is a disruptive technology. Hey, we made a shower valve that you can go from 75 degrees and to do a whole turn up to scalding hot.
Right. And then that Tesla guy said, can we tap to enlarge the different camera views when backing up?
And Elon said, yes, coming soon. So
nice.
Is this in addition to the bird's eye view?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
And then Tesla Girl said, will the new 4680 batteries have improved durability against range loss in low winter temperatures compared to the current ones?
And Elon deflected from that. He said the new heat pump in Model Y is what really makes the difference in cold weather. So you could say that that's a no, or it could be that he's just deflecting and saying not going to say anything until the car comes out.
Speaking of deflecting, Alicia Patel said, my dad passed from brain cancer this August. He left his Tesla Model X to us, and it saved my mom's life. A driver blew a red and wrecked it, but my mom was mostly unscathed. We are grieving both dad and the Tesla, but we are grateful to Elon Musk and Tesla for keeping mom safe.
Elon said, glad to hear your mom is okay.
And not to be outdone, Mike in Switzerland had a runaway truck wheel crash into his Model 3 at a combined speed of 160 kilometers an hour. Mike walked away without a scratch, and he said he'll be buying another Model 3. And Elon said, glad you're okay. So, yeah, look at that wheel. Just, I forgot to put the lug nuts on. And it flew at his car and did that, but luckily he walked away. Marquise Brownlee tweeted out, me trying not to order Plaid Model S.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it.
Elon said, it's next level. And then Holmar's catalog said, will Plaid S have a structural pack? I assume the extra power of the 4680 cells helps.
Elon said, yeah. So that kind of gives us a little insight into the timeline of when we expect to see the structural pack of the 4680s.
Toby Lee said, do you have an update on the October Starship presentation if it's still happening in October?
Elon said, oh yeah, Starship update is coming in about 3 weeks. Design has coalesced. What is presented will actually be what flies to orbit as V1.0 with almost no changes.
Exciting.
Man, I was so bummed after Battery Day. I was such a
Starship Day is coming.
Starship Day is coming. Luckily, we don't have to wait so gosh darn long.
All right, it's time for Community Mail Time.
Community Mail Time.
So you want to go to a parade? Are you good? Are you going to be good? Are you going to be good?
As long as they're throwing candy, I'm usually
I don't
fine
know
at
if they are.
parades.
So Kevin is going to take you to an EV parade in Longmont, Colorado, if you're good.
This, I think, needs to become more popular because you have a lot of people outside these days, maybe a little less so as the temperature starts to drop, but nice and silent, nice reading outside. You're going to go, oh, why was it so nice about 10 minutes ago? Why is it so loud now? Oh, because the EVs were here 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Blocking all the giant pickup trucks from making loud noises while we try and eat.
It's so nice to eat outside. And speaking of eating outside, Fred writes, Pizzeria Moza, discovered by watching Chef's Table on Netflix, is a favorite spot for us when we're down in LA. They've converted their parking lot to outdoor dining. You can still see the parking spot markers on the ground. Much better use of space. In our self-driving future, hope every parking lot becomes an open space to enjoy. Also, on this road trip, had to walk by gas stations to get food while supercharging. Oh my God, the petroleum product smells are so disgusting, and vehicles are leaking dino juice, nozzles are releasing gas into the air, and vehicles are loading up on pollutants. How did we think any of this was normal? And then Marcus shared these photos of the VW ID3 on the island of Gotland in Sweden.
And Seb spotted an ID3 in London.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere now.
And then John fit all of this into his Model 3. He said, I recently had to make a delivery to a customer site. These 32 boxes, it all fit without encroaching on the driver space and without limiting visibility out the front and sides.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, we did an episode where we put a ton of luggage in the Model 3 and still had room to spare. I think that kind of shows you how much room is in there. A lot of people don't understand. I'm like getting a bunch of stuff and they're like, are you sure we're going to be able to fit all of this? We were out the other day getting stuff with the Model X and you were like, I don't know if it's going to fit. We got to the car.
Plenty of room.
We didn't even fill it a quarter of the way full.
True. All right, so then watch this video very carefully, Jesse. You're going to see something that you might not have expected. So if you look very carefully here, you'll see it in slow-mo. You see what's happening? That driver in the Toyota is throwing a rock at our buddy Evan driving in his Tesla. He said this, the police constable was really good and very honest with me. She told me it's not a motor vehicle accident, so she couldn't give me any info on him, and if I wanted to, I could have had him charged with vandalism and mischief. She told me that the Crown might choose to dismiss this case because the courts are so backed up. We're talking about Canada here. She did offer to go to the other driver's house and request he pay for my damages, $450 for a new window, the cost to retint due to the chips from the stone. She went over to his house, had him call me, and he hesitantly agreed to pay. I went to his house to pick up the money. Don't worry, the constable was there to make sure nothing happened. And after he paid me, he started making excuses that I was following too closely, flashing my lights at him, and that it was really busy. So let me stop here in the letter. Here's some footage from the Tesla so you can see what really happened. I reminded him that there is video of him swerving across lanes, speeding up and slowing down. I was never behind him, and that there was only 3 cars on the road. He grumbled and went inside. If it weren't for those cameras, I would have never been able to get any money.
So this is just another example of what crap we have to deal with other humans in the world. The
guy threw a rock
at another car.
What?
And if he didn't get caught on camera throwing the rock, also, I'm sorry, you can't charge the guy for anything other than mischief and vandalism. That is more like, what if you had then gotten into an accident because the rock had come through and hit you in the head?
Right.
What would that have been? Oh, just mischief.
Isn't that assault?
Yes. What the frick? Get a lawyer. Get this guy. Get him. Get him off the road. I don't want him to have a license.
Yeah.
Frickin', who's throwing rocks?
This is Laura and Drake going for an adventure in their Model 3.
So here we are. We just did the Dragon, which is a road that I've always wanted to drive on. And I took the Model 3 Performance down here, 318 turns and 11 miles. It was a blast. So here we are in Deals Gap, North Carolina. We're putting a little bit of charge in.
I didn't puke in the car. I'm so proud.
So we're now at the end of the Dragon, and this is a little place called the Tail of the Dragon in Deals Gap, North Carolina, and you can see that they've got a little Tesla charging station. It's not a supercharger, but it's something to get enough juice to get back up the mountain if you're in trouble. Now you know.
On our Patreon bonus stories today, we shared another more romantic Laura and Drake story. So if you're feeling romantic, I urge you to check out our Patreon bonus stories this week. And I think a lot of people are new and may not know what we're talking about here.
So Patreon bonus stories is basically, we've been writing the news for a while. We usually came up with a bunch of stories that we couldn't put on air, either because they had copyright video or music in them, or there just was not enough. I mean, look at the length of the show. So we needed to put it somewhere. We really needed support, and so we thought, let's give it to our patrons. We'll give it to them for $1 a month. It's like the least you can do. Right. So if you want to just check it out, you can head over there, support us for as little as $1 a month, and check out the Patreon bonus stories.
And Joyce wrote in to share this Vote Climate 2020 Climate Change Voters Guide, which is really easy to use. You just enter your zip code or your candidate's name, and up pops a score, and you can then dive deeper into more info. It's really cool for picking a candidate that's standing up for climate action.
And Ahmed in the UAE just got his new Tesla Model 3 Performance.
That's cool. All right, it's time for the Patreon poll. What was the question last week?
Did Battery Day meet your expectations?
Ooh,
so most people said super impressed. Battery Day exceeded my expectations. Some people were expecting other things, but were happy with the announcements. Other people, Battery Day was what they expected. Not too many other people were disappointed in any way.
All right, it's time for Supercharger Reviews. These are sponsored by our friends at Evannex, the Tesla community's accessory store. Looking for awesome accessories for your Tesla? Then check out Evannex and use our discount code NowYouKnow to save you $10 on purchases over $100.
Hey guys, we are here with the first V3 supercharger in Denmark.
So, location here in Denmark is Ikast. So, it really is a charger that draws power to the car very fast.
The area is newly landscaped and therefore not everything is in place yet.
However, as you can see, it's still possible to get a cup of coffee or maybe take one to go. So, now you know?
No.
Now you know.
You said now you know, but now you know. Okay.
Hey, Zach and Jesse, this is Stephen Pilata, Club Manager for Tesla Owners Club New York State, coming to you currently live from Utica, New York with the 8-stall 150 kilowatt supercharger station. You have a Price Chopper, Walgreens, a couple other stores in this outlet strip. It's about 2 minutes off of I-90, relatively clean area, well maintained. I would rate this an 8 out of 10, only because I may have missed it. May have missed it coming into this parking lot. Never seen one on the side of a building before. Other than that, great place. Highly recommend it. Now you know.
Hello, Zach and Jesse. It's me, Madeline, coming to you from the Williams, California supercharger. This supercharger is an 8-stall V3 with a bunch of places for entertainment. Across the street, there is an Italian wine and deli place and a restaurant called Granzella's. It has very good food. Leave a 5-star on Yelp. And there is a bunch of places to go and walk. There's some seating areas and some garbage bins in front of the restaurant. So overall, I give this supercharger a 9 out of 10. Bye! Adios!
Hello, Zach and Jesse. This is Holger from Austria again. Today I'm in St. Moritz in Switzerland. This supercharger has 4 stalls and it's located in a park house near the lake and the center of the town. I give it a 6 out of 10. Now you know.
Well, thank you, everybody. I love the Supercharger reviews. And now we've got our
most beautiful superchargers in the world. This one is sent in from Steve. This is the Glenwood Springs, Colorado. I think we've been to this one. You remember this one?
I don't.
I think we went to this one on our cross-country road trip.
You're thinking of Price, Utah. That looks a lot like Price, Utah to me. But this is Colorado. I don't remember this one.
We went through Colorado.
I know we did, but I don't think we stopped.
We went to this one.
Really?
That
I'm
one.
gonna bet
I remember that we did. You were just very tired. It was a very long day of driving.
It could be. And I want to remind everyone that we're running low on photos, so send them in.
We might just be out of the most beautiful superchargers in the world.
Maybe.
I mean, it's not true.
No,
I've even been to some that are really beautiful.
All right. What are the new superchargers going online this week?
So many. I don't know. Maybe we just put them up on screen. No, we're going to read them. Just kidding. Number 549 in Europe, the 12-stall version 3 in Leusden, Netherlands.
The 60-stall 250 kilowatt in Amesbury, United Kingdom.
The 8-stall version 3 in Sacramento at Freeport Boulevard, California.
The 12-stall 250 kilowatt in San Clemente, Avenida Vista, Hermosa, California.
The 12-stall 250 kilowatt in Uden, Netherlands.
Number 64 in the UK, the 4-stall 150 kilowatt in Inverness, UK.
The 8-stall 250 kilowatt in Fort Pierce, Florida.
And number 894 in the US, number 1975 in the world is the 16-stall version 3 in Superior, South Marshall Road, Colorado. All right, it is time for our Patreon giveaway.
Did we already do this one? We already did that one. You're going to get a picture of Elon's kid.
Yeah. Basically, this is Elon's favorite airplane. So if you want the SR-71,
yeah,
or maybe, send it to Elon.
Yeah, and we finally heard that we can sign the front. So
yeah, people said we can sign the front.
All right, and the winner is Eric Ainsley. Congratulations, Eric. And your name goes back in this barrel of fun because you still support us on Patreon. For every dollar that you support us on Patreon, you earn a chance to win. Thank you so much, Eric.
I like writing on the front.
This feels very official.
It feels very cool.
I feel like I don't have to fill the space as much.
Yeah.
This is quite nice.
You can just kind of put it where you want it.
Now I don't know where to write.
I know. I got the good spot on the mountain.
Yeah. Well, I can...
You can put it on the wing.
I don't want to put it on... That's the foreground.
Someday, we'll just write... You know how ball players do it?
Yeah.
Ball players just write right over themselves.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for staying till the end of the show. You made it the long way. I think that's pretty good. Don't forget that you can head over to the Clips channel if you want to send little clips of things you've seen today. Someone wrote to me last week and they're like, can you get the clips up faster? I'm like,
no.
I mean,
sorry.
we have a limited staff.
Yeah, if we were a bunch of robots,
right,
maybe. But no, actually not.
But we do our best. So I think they go up. I think they go up like on Tuesday.
Give me a break.
So yeah. So you got to wait.
Your friends aren't going to... Come on.
They can wait.
They're your friends. I mean, you love them, but they're not... It's not critical, right? And yeah, we can't do the show without our patrons at all.
No.
So I really want to give a big shout out to all of our Patreon patrons. You know who you are. And if you forgot, just double check the list.
Yeah.
That's flying right past us because these are the people who make this show possible. We can't do it without you. And yeah, I mean, I'm just so glad to be able to do this every week and to be doing, well, not just every week. This is my full-time job.
Yeah, every day.
We're able to not only put out this news every week, but we're also able to be thinking about lots of different things, organizing different interviews with different people, and just overall trying to make the world a better place, and you help facilitate that.
Did I have my mug backwards the entire show? We got to do the show again. I'm sorry. I was hiding the Now You Know logo. It was like this.
That's fine.
I was looking at it and admiring it.
We can just edit it. Ready? Hang on. You turn it around. Boom. Magic. See?
That's amazing.
Pretty, aren't you glad you waited all the way to the end of the show so you can see that? Anyway, thank you so much. We'll see you next week. You can check out, if this is their first episode, well, congratulations.
You have 212 more to go.
Be sure to hit the like button. It does something to the YouTube algorithm, and other people are going to see it. Also, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. Don't worry, it's
hit the
free.
like button earlier. Can you go back in time and hit it earlier? Because the algorithm likes you to hit that button 12 minutes in.
Watch the video. I don't care. Watch the video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you don't, we'll do whatever you're going to do with your life. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't actually cost you any money. Yeah, you might have to make a YouTube account, but guess what? You might find other cool stuff that you like, because that's the way the YouTube algorithm works. I know we all complain about it, but it actually brings you some interesting stuff that you might like to watch.
There's good stuff out there.
Are we done? I think we're done. Thank you so much for watching. Now you know.